happens when we die, Keanu Reeves?
I know that the ones who love us will miss us.
Because here's your choice. Watch this now. If you're suffering, if you're in pain, your life doesn't match how you think it should be, and you think you're helpless to change it, now you have only three choices. Choice one, blame something. And that's what Joaquin did, if you recall. He blamed his coach, he blamed what happened to him, and of course these things were outside his control. But he blamed his coach, and a big part of the healing, if you watch this session, was bringing his coach in and getting him to see, hey, you know what, all that anger, all that resentment inside of you, Joaquin, A, it's not based on the truth, and B, like Nelson Mandela said, you know, having resentment in your soul is like drinking poison and hoping that your enemy will die. It doesn't work that way. And when Joaquin was able to break out, his breakthrough was a change in perception, to realize this coach wasn't stopping me. I just felt like I lost everything, and so I don't know how to change it, so I'm looking for something to be mad about, someone to blame, so I don't have to blame myself, or I don't have to feel so helpless. Because when you're angry, you don't feel so helpless. You feel strong for the moment, even though it's a fake strength. When he was able to make that breakthrough, he could stop blaming, because these are your three choices. When life doesn't match how you think it should be, blame something. An event, someone else, or yourself. As we talked about earlier in the series, blame games just destroy you. There's no progress when you blame. For the moment you feel okay, but nothing changes. What are your real choices? You only have two choices in life. If life doesn't match your blueprint, you either have to change your life. That is, you gotta say, you know what, my body isn't there, I'm gonna go work out. My relationship isn't there, I'm gonna change it. You know, I'm not making what I gotta make, I'm gonna retool, I'm gonna get a new skill, I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna start a business, I'm gonna do something. You have to do something to change your life. Or, in order for you to be happy, if you can't change your life, you're gonna have to change your blueprint. Usually in life, it requires a little bit of each. Does that make sense? And if you change your life and change your blueprint, you can have an extraordinary life. And what you witnessed this man do was, once he let go of his anger and his denial, once he started to look at things, he began to find, by spending time with his family, that he was worthwhile being loved whether he played basketball or not. Of course he'd love to play basketball, but professional basketball was no longer a part of it. And we got to get Joaquin to shift that. And Joaquin is a metaphor for all of us. Because all of us are going to have times in our life when what we want or think life should be like isn't going to match how life really is. Those moments, if we blame, our life goes into pain. If we change, we can change our life and match our blueprint. But we have to also know when it's not within our control. And that's how we're able to make a shift and change what our story is for our life, what our expectations are, not by lowering them, but by changing what that model really is. I hope this makes sense to you. I'll give you a great example. Years ago, I do a lot of work with business people, celebrities, people of all kinds of walks of life. And I was dealing with a group of people, and they knew a very, very powerful celebrity. And without to give that person privacy, I won't tell you too many details, so you can't figure out exactly who it is. But it would be a person who was very successful, was a woman who was extremely attractive by cultural standards, a woman who's had a lot of dear friends, a lot of deep respect. So great skill, great ability, extremely talented, quite attractive, quite wealthy in financial terms, and lots of great friends. This would be, for most people's idea, the ultimate blueprint. If your life matches that description, you must have an incredible life. But ironically, this particular individual, as famous as they were, was depressed all the time. They had seemingly everything, and yet the person was depressed. How do you get depressed when you're smart, and you're strong, and you're beautiful, and you got great friends, and you're rich, and you're famous? Well, it's real simple. People said, I don't know what it is. Everyone's tried to help her. She's been through counseling. She's got all these different drugs. Nothing's working. She's taking antidepressants, and she's still depressed, which is not uncommon, by the way. Because if you change the way you feel physically, but you still see your life doesn't match how you think it should be at some level, and you feel like you're helpless to change it, you're going to be depressed. So I said, bring her to me. I said, I can help her. I know that sounds like hyperbole, but I absolutely can help her. Well, how do you know that, Tony? Because I already know what the problem is. I know if someone's depressed, it's because they feel helpless because their life doesn't match how they think it should be. I just don't know what her blueprint is, but we'll find out what it is, and we'll either help her change her life or we'll help her change her blueprint or both. Long story short and very quickly, I'll tell you the core of it. She came to me and she spent maybe the first half an hour telling me, apologizing, saying, I know I should be happier. I know it's silly for me to be depressed. I don't know why I'm so depressed. I know I should be grateful for what I have, and I am grateful. And it was all these reasons why she knows she should feel good, but still didn't. And I try to finally explain to her, listen, I don't care about that. I care about you. The fact that you're not happy has nothing to do with what you have or don't have. The fact that you're not happy is that your life doesn't match the way you think it should be. And you have some idea of how you think it should be. And worse, if you're this depressed after all this time, you feel like you can't do anything. You have no power to change it. You feel helpless. And she looked at me in a certain way, and I said, so what is that? What did you want your life to be like? She goes, well, it sounds stupid. I said, it's not gonna sound stupid to me. She said, well, I don't know. I just always, since I was a little girl, dreamed that I would be married, and I would have 3 basically perfect children, and they would love me totally, and I love my husband, he'd love me. And I said, okay, so how's that working for you so far? And she said, well, I think you know, because she's a pretty famous person. She said, I'm divorced twice, I have no children, and I'm now X age. And to give you a clue, that age would be an age where having a child, your own natural child at least, barring a medical miracle, is not going to happen. So I said to her, well, why don't you just adopt? She goes, no, that's not it. And so what I had to dig under is, remember we talked in one of the earlier sessions about there's the surface problem and then there's the deeper desire or need. So I said to her, I said, well, what if you couldn't have the husband but you could have the kids? And she smiled and she said, I'd take that. I said, well, why not adopt a kid? She goes, no, it has to be my own blood children. So I kept digging to find out what was behind her blueprint. Because your blueprint is just a projection of what you think you need to be happy. But as human beings, we're notoriously ineffective at knowing what's going to make us happy. So much that we think we're going to make us happy, we get there and we go, is this all there is? So many things that we think are going to make us miserable and we can never deal with, we go through it and we can handle it. We're not good at projecting these things. All kinds of studies will show this. So I said to her, well, what are you hoping to get from these 3 children? Why do they have to be your blood children? And she finally said, well, if they're my blood children, I know they'll always love me. They'll never leave me. What was she looking for? Unconditional love. She had this big blueprint that said, White House, picket fence, 3 children, perfect husband, all these different things. But what was behind that was a need to feel like she could have love that would be certain and wouldn't go away. So I can help her meet that need. So I said to her, I said, well, maybe one reason you don't have a husband is because every time you look at one, you're trying to figure out if he's going to get you those 3 kids in time and how that's going to happen. And maybe he feels a little stressed when you're looking at him this way because he can feel what's going on behind your bed, even if he doesn't know what the words are. And she started to laugh. She goes, I guess I've probably been that way a good portion of my life. And she goes, people wonder, why I'm so uptight. I said, you're uptight because you felt like you're running out of time.
I learned is that, you deal with people as people first. You deal with a man as a man, a woman as a woman, regardless what their persona is and what their titles are. It's like code of humans,